Pathmonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get extra 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmonk.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Benjamin Hoehn from Monsters, Aliens, Robots, Zombies, or MARZ for short. VP of Marketing with them. How you doing today, Ben?
Doing well. How are you, Ernesto?
Doing great. Thank you so much for asking. And I'm curious, right? The name is a curious name. So, well, let's kick it off with that, right? I'm sure our listeners are tuning in and wonder what MARZ is all about. So, in your own words, can you tell us a little bit more, Ben?
Sure. MARZ is Monsters, Aliens, Robots, Zombies. Quite a fun mouthful of a name there. It is a traditional VFX studio. It was started a number of years ago, they've been working with some award-winning different shows, as we call them in the industry. They've been working with Netflix, Disney, Marvel, all of the kind of large names. And right now, the last project that they worked on, the creator, is up for quite a few awards as well. So this is a team of VFX artists that have been solving just a ton of different problems. And I'm really joining the team new to help them launch the latest product that we have called Lipdub AI. Traditionally, a lot of dubbing work has been done manually by just teams of VFX artists. And what this team decided to do was invest in AI-based automation, engineers, researchers, everyone, to let machine learning actually handle the translation piece. So our latest product, Lipdub AI, does that for long-form content that requires a lot of quality and kind of Hollywood-grade dubbing.
Awesome. Very great. So that way our listeners can get a good understanding of MARZ then, Ben. What would you say then is the key problem or problems that you saw for clients?
Yeah, the key problem is converting any video into another localized piece of long-form content. So let's say you are shooting a large commercial for the Super Bowl, right? And that is not cheap to get airtime, and it's not cheap to produce. So for that level of quality content that you're producing, especially if you want to convert it into other markets, so you're shooting it in English, and maybe you want to deploy it in Japan and South Korea and Mexico and Latin America, you need to retranslate it. You could manually do this. You could do a ton of research and hire all these different actors that speak all the different languages and then kind of, 8x your schedule. Or you can use a platform like ours that will take a few minutes of the high quality footage and then redub it into those other languages and just have that main set of actors that you originally shot it with, produce it seamlessly in the other languages, and it still maintains the quality. That's essentially the problem that we solve for. So you can think about all of the different permutations, all the different people that need to produce globalized content can use our platform.
Definitely. And that's super important, right? Like you mentioned, going to different markets. I think that's what we're global as of 2024 as much as we could be. So definitely something that everybody has to take into consideration. But then what would be is there a vertical, is there an ideal ICP that you guys have there at MARZ?
So we're in beta right now, and what we're seeing are about like 5 major groups that really use us. Not exactly 5, but when I think about them, I try to group people into these categories. Obviously, there's film and television. This started with Hollywood VFX artists, so it was kind of built for them, but it can be applied to any other content that has complex. The next is advertising and media. So generally, when you're shooting high quality footage, even if it's just a minute or 2 minutes, to go global, you'll need us. The third are actually e-learning people and education folks. So think TED Talks, Masterclass, anything that has high quality footage of someone doing a documentary or an educational piece where someone is speaking. If they need to translate it into multilingual training components, they use us. Another are creators and influencers. So we're getting a lot of interest from folks, large macro influencers that have, hundreds of thousands of subscribers and followers that want to go global. They're really interested in us. And then finally, it's just straight up marketing teams internally. We do have a couple of e-commerce customers now who are leveraging us for either internal training or their external videos that they're shooting. They also need to go global. Typically, everyone now is translating things in 8 to 10 languages, and then they'll use us for that content as well.
Definitely. I mean, that's nice, right? I think one thing that I'm thinking about right now was, I'm sure you've heard of Mr. Beast, right? He started doing the same thing for different countries, dubbing, and it was weird, right? Listening to him, and well, the voice actor in Spanish, right? But that's interesting that everybody, well, in YouTube, they're using that as well, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Ernesto, because YouTube's actually releasing an update. It should be coming out end of this month or very early next, where now you can have the multilingual kind of drop down on your content. So you can start to post your podcast in English and Spanish if you want. We could dub this podcast easily in Spanish and, target everyone in Mexico or anywhere else you wanted to. And it's all within the same platform. You no longer need multiple channels to do that.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, awesome. And so then how would somebody typically find out about MARZ, Ben? Is there a top client acquisition channel that you guys have?
So we're early stage. The cool thing about this is this was previously only accessible for the MARZ VFX customers, but now it's an actual product and we're in beta, as I kind of mentioned before. You can go to Lipdub AI, and that's kind of our main channel. Everything that we're doing right now is based on PR. We've been covered by CNN and Fast Company and Variety and a lot of, large Hollywood publications, but those are really our main channels now. We're really just starting to scale our demand gen efforts. That's also why I was brought on. My background is in SaaS demand gen marketing, so I'm here to kind of help scale those efforts as we go outbound. So a lot more to come here.
Definitely awesome to hear that. And so then, so that way our visitors could check you guys out. They could visit you guys at monstersaliensrobotzombies.com. What role does a website play then for client acquisition then?
So for monstersaliensrobotzombies.com, I know that's a long URL for anyone listening. You can type in marzvfx.com or just lipdub.ai, and you can see both of those products. But essentially, the website plays a major role. Less so on the VFX side. Most of VFX projects I've learned are really based on, your last project, the reputation, and building those relationships with major directors. Obviously, MARZ VFX has already earned their space in the game by, producing all of these large-scale projects, like I said, for Disney and Netflix and Marvel and people like that. But with Lipdub.ai, the website plays a major role. We're actually right in the middle of revamping our website. Right now, it's kind of more of just a one-pager as we're in beta, as we're discovering what our customers really want to do. We're taking everything to the next level by adding more pages. My background is actually in, website-based copy development, content management, content marketing, and demand gen. All of that is intertwined with the website acting as a hub, and then producing great content to get people back to the website, to engage what they're actually viewing, looking at all of those metrics, and then from there, deciding where to double down. What additional resources do we need to do? We're just starting that exercise now.
Okay, no, right, awesome. And would there be then, being a startup, would there be any type of tips, methods, recommendations that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Yeah, it's a little old school, but I always recommend building out a buyer's journey. It's kind of an antiquated practice. It's something that I think a lot of people skip over, but it's really critical. Even now, as we're kind of in beta, what I'm doing with all of our sellers and success folks is just sitting down account by account and saying, okay, what questions did they have? What were they looking at? What pieces did you send them? What emails did you send them? Because all of that stuff will be converted into actual content along the buyer's journey, and then we'll populate that on the website. So that directionally lets me know what to build out on the website. And then obviously the other component of that is measurability. Before I build anything, I always make sure the backend's configured. So I personally love using Google Tag Manager. Folks love using Adobe Analytics as well. Whatever you're using, make sure it all communicates with your CRM, your marketing automation platform, your analytics pieces. You're going to need that measurability to know where to double down, and then start to build out more content from there.
Yeah, but all right, great advice there for our listeners. And well, Ben, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about you being the leader there for MARZ, the VP of marketing. What are some key tasks you focus on your day-to-day work?
Oh boy. Right now it's really focusing on communicating with the community that we have within beta. If you're an early stage startup and you're listening to this, you know your number one job is just focusing on net new customers and making sure that they have a great experience. That is the number one job of every person in the organization. There really isn't anything else to do other than making sure that they just love your product, and then taking as many notes as possible about why they love your product, and then converting that into a repeatable and scalable motion. If you're deeper, late stage, obviously, you're kind of refining that and trying to blossom more volume. But right now, that's my main focus. I'm literally, we use Discord for our community right now. I'm literally just kind of stalking in our Discord channels and writing down and noting everything that the customers are chatting with our success team about as they go through their onboarding, and taking notes and seeing repeated keywords, repeated, issues, concerns, or repeated praise, and converting that into either content or things that I'm going to follow up with those customers about.
Definitely. All right, great. And well, let's jump into our next section here, Ben, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
Oh boy, let's go.
All right. First off, Ben, what is the last book that you read?
Oh yeah, I saw this question that you sent over and I was just so embarrassed. I have a stack of books next to my bed that I thumb through when I actually do get time to read. So my top 3 right now, it's Bell Hook's Will to Change, which is ironic, I know. Barracoon, which is like the story of the last human cargo. So this is actually a kind of a firsthand and patchwork account of like the last human slave that was actually trafficked through the old system in the 1800s. And then a toddler parenting book called No Drama Discipline that I really do need to finish so I can be a better dad. I'm always working on that. But yeah, generally, and this is just something I've been doing since I was a kid, I've always read a few books at once and kind of, 10, 15 pages Monday, another 5 or so pages Tuesday, and you kind of just keep cycling until they get done and get through the stack. Probably not the best way. There's probably really expert readers out there right now just tearing out their hair hearing about that, but that's my method of madness.
Definitely. I mean, but as long as you have it, I mean, good reads there from you. So awesome to hear that from you. But next up, Ben, is what is one single thing that MARZ is focused on at the moment the most?
Oh boy. So right now, I would say we're really focused on Lipdub and making sure that the product is in as many hands as possible and that the customers are satisfied. This is one of those products that has just gone through so many different hands and so many different QA. There are really advanced machine learning and AI researchers on staff at Lipdub and MARZ that have made sure that this is, as high quality as possible. And that's the market that we're focused on, kind of the Hollywood grade, long form, complex content folks. So we just want to make sure that those customers are super happy. And as you can tell, everything that we're doing is kind of centered around them. The website rewrite that I'm doing is centered around their experiences. There's going to be some more PR and results coming out in the next few weeks. That's all going to be centered around those customers. So it's really just doing that. And then once we get through, making sure everyone's happy, it's then attracting the next wave of people that also want to benefit from this and figuring out who that is and how we can help them. But that's my number one goal. I think about that quite a bit.
Well, always on the mind. Great. Next, Ben, is if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Yeah, I saw this question and it was really interesting to me because I think technology is shifting so rapidly that I don't think there are going to be boundaries in technology anymore. I think at this point now, people, especially marketers, just need to realize where they want to excel. Because I'm sure you've been in tune to the Gen AI space. Things are being released right now between all of the major Gen AI producers, OpenAI, Gemini, Meta. Everyone's releasing, and Microsoft, obviously. Everyone's releasing so many different features that entire jobs and roles will be completely redefined. For instance, the text to video stuff that was just released yesterday is just mind-boggling. So short form content that might require VFX, storyboard, teams of people that I've been involved with in producing stuff like that. Now it can be done in 30 to 60 seconds. Um, that is a complete paradigm shift. So it's less now about thinking about what the tech can do, because I think the technology is going to outpace our capacity for creativity in a certain point, and I think it's going to be sooner than we think. And I think what's more important is choosing where you want to specialize. And what I mean by that is, within marketing, there's so many different facets. You can be an event marketer, a field event marketer, a virtual event marketer, an influencer and social marketer, community marketing, demand gen, content, product, all these different facets. But then we all kind of get lumped into just, oh, I'm a marketer. Oh, there's the marketing team. Now, if you kind of take away that the process and all of that kind of tech debt and project management debt that gets built into getting things done, and just say, hey, leverage these AI tools and produce content or this or that, you really just get to think creatively about how to specialize in one of those different facets that I just mentioned. So I think, and I hope that's where things are going to go, where people just really start to excel and get super creative in some of these different areas, instead of having to be more of a jack of all trades, or having to go, an inch deep and a mile wide. People can really go deeper and push the bounds of creativity with the new stuff that's out there.
Okay, all right, awesome. And well, lastly, Ben, then is, I mean, you do have a lot of experience already as a marketer, but what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
Yeah, it's I tried to follow this advice as often as possible, and I'm doubling down on it now, especially as I just said, with the advent of Gen AI. It is literally choosing curiosity over fear whenever there's any change. And what that really means is just always remaining curious. Whenever I get a chance to speak with, a younger marketer, some folks might reach out to me and say, oh, what should I do? I always say, don't stay in your lane. If you're curious about what's going on in engineering, if you're curious about what's going on here or there or somewhere else, just find out who's running that department, throw some time on their calendar, introduce yourself, and start asking questions. Be curious. Find out how things work. Gen AI is a great example of this. Over the course of the last 12 to 18 months, and even longer, right? Those of us that were interested in it, maybe we're taking courses or learning about it, and now it is here. And now it is this unavoidable thing that, you're either using it or you're going to be using it, and you can choose to be curious about it and invest and learn and test, or you can choose to be fearful of it and kind of resist, or, not choose to accept it. But given that choice, I always choose curiosity over fear. There's nothing that's going to hurt you in terms of, learning to work with new tech, people, roles, figuring out how things work. It's never going to steer you wrong to just have more knowledge.
Definitely. That's some great advice for myself and for everybody that's tuning in with us today. Well, Ben, it's been a pleasure to have you on with us today in today's episode. But before we end, I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about your company?
Oh boy, that Lipdub AI is just the new way that people are going to go global. When quality footage matters and you need to go global, it's Lipdub AI. And you'll see, we're going to put out a lot more stuff on social as these customers kind of get through. We'll have a lot more UGC coming out. But that's the number one thing to take away.
All right. Awesome to hear that, guys. You could always check them out. Like you check, you could Google them and MARZ VFX. Right here for dubbing. Thank you so much, Ben, for being on with us today in today's episode. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and looking forward to our next episode at Pathmonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Ben.
Thank you, Ernesto.